This update looks amazing! It's behind me, isn't it? And it's behind what's behind me, isn't it? So, this was quite eventful 2 days. Apparently it was not planned to happen like this, but it just happened to happen like that. And now the bad sides of both of these events kinda multiplied in a hilarious way. So, in case you missed it, and there is a good chance you might have missed it because they posted it on Riot's official YouTube channel, which not as many people follow compared to the League of Legends channel. But we got the big news about the collaborations of Arcane with all of Riot's games. Last time this happened, you may remember League getting the first iteration of the Hextech and Chemtech Drakes. We all remember those glorious times, right? On top of that, we got some Arcane skins, which also happened for Wild Rift and Legends of Runeterra, where we also got the Path of Champions adventures. Valorant got Jinx's original gun as a skin, and TFT got Gizmos and Gadgets as a pretty good tie-in. And so, just like last time, this time Arcane is once again getting promotions everywhere. So, let's dive into what's happening. The video starts with the introduction of Mark Merrill and Christian Link. Unfortunately, given the news Mark delivered yesterday, people already started squinting at what was being announced here. But I also noticed another thing. How come every time there is a co-creator of something, the other half disappears? Here we have the co-founder of Riot, but we only ever see Mark Merrill and never Brendan Beck. And then there is the co-creator of Arcane, but we only ever see Christian Link and never Alex Yee. Just what kind of a curse is this? Anyway, today they are here to show us all the tie-ins. And so, they start with League. Here they finally reveal Mbessa as the new playable champion in League of Legends, PC. Previously she was shown in Wild Rift, and you can see that there are some differences between the two. For example, here, she doesn't have the golden mask, which I'm not sure if that's better or worse. It just looks like a totally different style. And also, the green is not as exaggerated as it is in Wild Rift. It actually blends in pretty well in League. And also, before you start going on Copium, no, there is no way she is getting a toggle for the mask. We all remember what happened to Echo's mask or Yorik's hat, right? But of course, Mbessa is also entering Path of Champions in Legends of Runeterra, and she will be a playable unit in TFT. Speaking of which, they teased that the next TFT set will be fully based on Arcane, which likely means it's gonna be exclusively Arcane-themed traits and stuff. And this is wild, because they really have to pull off a lot of Piltover units. This means all the Zone and Piltover based champions, including Noxus possibly too, and then you can likely also use the Chemtech and Hextech skins. I'm really looking forward to seeing how the team gets creative with that. And yes, it is very likely that we are getting the T-Hex and Silco back. But then they also revealed Powder as a brand new unit. I wonder if she's gonna share a trait with Silco. Then it was confirmed that in 2XKO, Jinx is being unshelved. Previously, she was still mostly in the concepting phase. She didn't even have working facial animations back then. She really was mostly a puppet. But now she is more in a workable stage. They also mentioned that you can sign up for a playable test of 2XKO sometimes early next year. But last time that was only exclusive to US, UK, Germany and France, so I'm not taking that bait again. Next up, Warwick is also arriving in Path of Champions. He will also be getting a gameplay update in Wild Rift, and he will be joined there by Heimerdinger, who is actually live right now. And they are teasing that they are also bringing over someone else. And of course it has to be Victor, who else it could be? After which we get the easiest call of our lives. The fact that ARAM is getting the Bridge of Progress. Last time everyone pointed out that this would have been perfect, and some writers even admitted it was a missed opportunity. So it was pretty obvious it was gonna happen now. Also, this is why the ARAM team always teased that they are working on stuff. Now, some of you may have pointed out that this looks unfinished. And that is mostly the case because if you look at the screenshot, some objects just don't have shadows. Some of the pillars do, and some of the tiny objects do, and this one turret in the front does. But the further you look, you'll notice that nothing else has shadows. And everything kinda just blends into the background. And this is likely a visual bug due to how the screenshot was taken. The game likely renders shadows based on the proximity to the camera, because the camera is always supposed to be looking down. So at some point, if the object is too far away from the camera, it just doesn't render the shadow because it doesn't have to. And it seems to apply to all the instanced objects, so turrets, inhibitors, stuff like that. So once you're in the actual game, things should look a little bit better. And yeah, I love the aesthetics of the Chemtech cannons on one side, and on the other side you have the Piltover Warden defensive systems. Also, I like how the enemy nexus is the Incognium Runeterra. But yes, all of it is also kinda ruined by the skybox, which, just so you know, is just the default skybox from Summoner's Rift. When you are in the game and you are looking down, you are not even gonna see it, so again, it should look better once we are playing it. Next, it was confirmed that TFT is getting Toker's Trials back, Wild Rift is getting the Showdown game mode, which will include arcane-themed items, and both Wild Rift and League PC are getting arcane-themed minigames. So the client minigames, such as the one with Aurora, are back. And then it all dives into cosmetics. So, TFT is getting the Chibi Caitlyn, which was previously shown in stuff like the Golden Spatula, and that will be followed by purely arcane-themed arenas and a new kind of a cosmetic. My assumption is it is either gonna be cosmetic nameplates, or it is gonna be customizable trails for the little legends as they are running around. After which Valorant was confirmed to also get something new. Last time they got Jinx's original gun as a skin, so this time I'm gonna assume that we are getting Caitlyn's sniper rifle as an operator, and possibly Jinx's machine gun as Odin. Maybe Vi's fists are gonna be a melee weapon. Then they also mentioned a lot of different collabs with a lot of different companies around the merch. And lastly, we get to the one bit that kinda soured all the news. First of all, once again, easiest call of my life. Both the Vi and the Jinx who were teased in the Arcane teasers are becoming a skin. This was obvious from the first moment we saw them. So, Arcane Brawler Vi is a thing, and after the finale is over, Riot also wants to introduce a new cosmetic tier. That's right! The ultimate tier was not enough. So there is a brand new skin tier called the Exalted Skin. And it is held in such a high regard, it got its own post to explain it. So, let's have a look. The post explains that this is the luxury good they were teasing in December of last year. It is a kind of a digital good that is very specifically aimed at whales. Remember that. A cosmetic aimed at whales, despite what the marketing says, okay? And so after a few $200 Jin skins, the team is back to justify the new skin tier with some new tech. At least, that's what we're being told. With that said, they also mentioned that the Exalted skins, together with the Transcended skins, whatever those are, and Mythic Variant skins, will only make about 10% of the skins Riot is producing. In other words, every 10th skin we get will be really expensive. So one week we get a skin line of 5 skins and everything's just fine, and the other week we get a skin line of 5 skins and one of them is very expensive. In this post, they also mentioned that skins, and especially the revenue from these higher priced skins, allows League to give us all of the free-to-play experiences. To which some people would joke, what experiences? But after seeing stuff like Swarm or Arena, you know what, I'll give it to them. And yeah, honestly, it is awesome to see Riot finally mentioning something like this. This is why, under normal circumstances, I am totally fine with higher priced microtransactions. It is just a skin, it gives you no gameplay advantage, so really, who cares? But things are not always as they seem, and we'll get to that in a moment. In case of the Exalted skins, starting with Jinx, she is getting 2 different models with 3 different forms each. So I assume it will likely be 2 variants of Jinx, one from Season 1 and then the other one from Season 2. And every single form should have different VFX. And you swap between these forms using Control 5, which uses a slot machine mechanic. Speaking of subtle foreshadowing, this is a gacha skin that costs $250. And when I mean a gacha system, I mean that League now has a fully integrated banner system, which is identical to any other gacha game in the entire world, because everyone is always copying what Genshin has always done. You all owe Paimon an apology. So, let's not beat around the bush. The new system that was built with the expensive skins in mind is called the Sanctum. Totally not hinting at any money spent in a cult-like fashion. In the Sanctum, you are using Ancient Sparks. What are Ancient Sparks? Ancient Sparks are wishes. And you buy one for 400 RP and they don't expire. Why don't they expire? Because this system is permanent and they will be adding in more cosmetics over time. I told you, it is Genshin's banner system. Speaking of which, fun fact. In the article they say, save your sparks for future pulls on future content. The funny thing is, pulls is very specifically a term only ever used in gacha games. Normally we would be talking about loot or loot boxes. Pulls are from slot machines, so we are not even hiding it. And just like it works in Genshin, we get a bad luck protection. So on each pull there is a 0.5% chance to get the skin you are looking for, but you are also guaranteed to get it within 80 pulls. Where have we seen this? Not in Genshin, they have a 90 pull ceiling. This is actually the same as Honkai Star Rail, which means the maximum possible investment is 32,000 RP, which is about $250. Normally I would be freaking out, but you know what, I think I'm numb at this point. But if you pull but you don't get it, don't worry because the pity system does carry over. But the fun does not stop here, because there are 3 tiers of drops you can get on each pull. B tier drops, which is what happens about 90% of the time, mostly gives you mythic essence and some random icons and emotes. These are essentially your 3-star drops. Then A tier gives you some selected skins as well as exclusive Paragon Chromas and exclusive banner. These are essentially your 4-star drops. And S tier, which is your 5-star drops you are looking for. And guess what? On every 10th pull you are guaranteed to get a 4-star, I mean an A tier drop. Say it with me. I'm sorry, Paimon. Then they clarify that none of these exclusive skins, including the mythic variants, will be in the reroll pool. Besides the Jin skin. Because they promised that would happen to the Jin skin. But nothing else. And if you get a duplicate in the gacha machine, you will just get some extra mythic essence. Do you think there's gonna be like a monthly purchasable crown or something? Which also means that the mythic essence store will be filled with a lot of cosmetics from previous events. Because now, people will be getting a lot more mythic essence, so they also need a way to spend it. Lastly, there is also a new cosmetic. The Nexus Finisher. I will admit, this one is really cool. It is a simple animation that plays after you destroy the enemy Nexus. And it works by simply selecting a random player with a finisher equipped. With the finisher costing about 250 mythic essence, which is totally fine. That is a very adequate price for a cosmetic you can equip on literally every single champion you ever play. Good job, Riot! But that leaves us with the Jinx skin situation. Honestly, in my opinion, here's the problem. This is an ultimate skin. Everything that was described here, even with different VFX and different forms, is what you would expect from an ultimate skin. But now that the Exalted tier is a thing, I don't think ultimate skins are ever coming back. I mean, look at what happened to Samira. A massive backlash because everything was scaled back and that was kinda it. So now, every time we would be able to get something on the ultimate level, it will be shoved into the gacha machine. So I'm calling it now. No more ultimate skins are ever gonna happen, because they simply don't have a place anymore. But then, when you look around the internet and you look at the general reception of this new system, the problem is what it has always been. You have people who say it is just a skin and so who cares? And you have people who are angry that the price is so high. Why? Well, the entire announcement crumbles under this one sentence.
League is releasing a skin at a new tier, Exalted, for all you die-hard Jinx fans out there. For all you die-hard Jinx fans out there.
We have talked about this many times on this channel, and it has to be mentioned again. The issue is, it is not for die-hard Jinx fans. It is for die-hard Jinx fans who can afford it. I mean, do you remember what I said at the beginning of this? The new luxury goods were specifically aimed at the whales. So unless you are a whale and a Jinx fan, then it's not for you, I guess. At least that is by following Riot's own logic here. And that's the problem with calling digital goods luxury, because their price is always made up. We are not making skins using rare materials that would give them more value. We're not making them using forbidden tech or licensing that needs to be paid for. It is just a skin that sure costs something, but I can assure you that if you sell a skin at $200, you only ever need to sell like 500 skins to get the cost back. That is assuming a skin costs like $100,000 to make, which I think is reasonable. And 500 units sold is not a lot. So to get back to the point, the issue is that this is celebrating Jinx, but 99% of the Jinx fans can't celebrate this. Because Riot technically just decided so. They could have made a cheaper skin so that more people would be able to enjoy this, but they didn't. And that's the problem. You can sell expensive things if you really want to, but the moment the expensive thing is for a passionate audience, then you are not celebrating. You are preying on people with impulse buying. And that is precisely why gacha systems are always so successful. Also, incredibly important to mention, it is totally fine to sell expensive things. Just don't use a gambling system. With that said, there is actually something Riot can do to redeem all of this. I know, it is scary, but it can be done. You need to make some ancient sparks available for free. Sure, make them really rare, but put them into passes or something. Make it so that you can get it for free if you are lucky. Compared to what happened with Jhin and the other skins, here it makes sense, because the pity system carries over. So if you are unlucky, well, then you have a higher chance of getting something next time. This is what gacha games actually do. They allow you to play for a year for free and stockpile all the pulls so that once in a full moon you can get a 5-drop for free. And honestly, these ancient sparks would actually make the battle passes finally interesting. Dare I say, it would probably make me engage with it too. This is like stars aligning kind of thing. Please, Riot, don't mess it up. So Riot, I know there is gonna be a backlash regarding this system, but you can do something about it. And please do. Because I thought I finally escaped the gacha creator allegations.